happens when lightning strikes sand. And I got this idea while watching the movie Sweet Home Alabama. And just in case you don't know what it's about, I'll give you a brief overview. So you have Reese Witherspoon playing a girl named Melanie. She's a New York fashion designer, and she becomes engaged to the city's most eligible bachelor. But before she can get married, she has to divorce the guy she married in high school, Jake, which is played by John Lucas. So he refuses to divorce her, and she has to sneak away to Alabama to get him to sign the papers. And while she's there, she confronts her past. And long story short, she realizes that she really is an Alabama girl at heart, and she falls back in love with him. So during the first scene of this movie, here on the left, you can see that a young Melanie and a young Jake are running along the beach during a storm, and lightning strikes right in front of them. And when it hits the sand, they see that it creates something. So they bend down to take a look, and they see that it's formed glass where the lightning landed. And later on in the movie, we find out that Jake has actually grown up to make art out of this glass that happens when lightning strikes sand. So we even see him actually putting rods into the sand to draw the lightning towards the sand. So I wanted to see how accurate this was. I've always been kind of curious about it. So that's why I decided to do this today. So, in short, the answer to my question is, when lightning strikes sand, it makes something called fulgurite, which is a hollow glass-lined tube with a sandy outside. These amazing formations are also known as petrified lightning, lightning stones, and fossilized lightning. But it's a little bit more complex than just that. So, fulgurite comes from the Latin word fulgur, meaning thunderbolt. And as I just said, it's hollow with a glassy inside and a sandy outside. So here are some pictures already up on the screen to show you kind of what they look like. And you can see on some of them the sandy outside, and others you can see the glassy inside. So they normally have an average of an inch or two in diameter and can be up to 30 inches long. But the largest discovered was 16 feet long. Now, there are actually two types of fulgurite, those formed in sandy soil and those formed in rocks, but today we're going to focus on the sandy soil. So they have been recorded since around the early 1700s from all around the world, including mountain peaks to the Sahara deserts. The color of fulgurites can vary widely based on impurities or different things in the soil. They can range from green, blue, translucent white, metallic blue, gray, to simply black or tan. Here are some different colored ones and different shaped ones. Yeah, so they can be all different types. So, to make them, you only need two things, lightning and sand. But the sand must be very high in silica or quartz. And if you don't have that type of sand, it's not going to work. So the best explanation for how this process occurs is you basically have a powerful bolt of lightning hitting a sandy area, and it's so hot that when it hits, it melts the sand, and then the moment it's taken away, it all fuses back together. This process actually only takes a second to happen, and it actually happens underneath the sand. So if you look in the far right, there is a picture of this, and so you see the lightning bolt hitting the ground, and then it branches out, which is what gives fulgurites the kind of root system of a tree look. So after this, they must be pushed up from the sand through erosion, which often causes them to break or get smaller, or different things to happen. Or if a geologist or someone knows about it, they can excavate them. Now, I have a picture down in the bottom left corner of what this would look like, them above the sand. But that one's not super accurate because of how high up it got. But that gives you kind of an idea of how it happens. So, they aren't any type of precious metal or mineral or anything like that, so they're not very expensive. The most expensive ones are actually made into jewelry, like I have shown here, all different types. But you can also buy really large ones for hundreds of dollars, but they really don't get any more expensive than that. And they can actually be as cheap as like $15 on some websites. Other than collecting them for just how cool they look, they actually do have a scientific use. So scientists, if they have several fulgurites from a specific area, they can study them, and they can infer about thunderstorm activity in that area during whatever time period. And then that gives them hints about future climates in that area. So after learning all this, I was really curious about at the end of the movie when he has the lightning rods, and I wanted to see if, that was a thing, and it actually is. So if you wanted to make a business out of it, you could, and you could stick lightning rods in the sand, and you could just wait for thunderstorms to happen, and you could dig them up. But that's not a super solid business plan just because you don't know how they're going to come out, you don't know if it's going to work, and it's just not super reliable since it's so rare that these even happen. So there's actually a more practical and safer way to make these, but it's much more expensive, and they would be artificial, not made by nature. So you use a transformer or something like that to cause an electrical current to kind of make man-made lightning into silica. And there's some videos on how to do this on YouTube if you wanted to see more thoroughly how it's done. But yeah, so you have to get it just right, but it would make a kind of cool, different show of this. And these are some pictures of that. And in the top you have the lightning rod, and then the bottom left you have how it would be artificially made. And then on the right side, those are what the artificial ones look like. So they're a little bit different. But turns out the movie was super incorrect. And I mean, I'm not that surprised. What do you expect from a movie that also says lightning doesn't strike the same place twice, which people know is overwhelmingly false. So, to wrap this whole thing up, when lightning strikes sand and all of the conditions are just right, fulgurites are formed. And while Hollywood may have gotten a ton of this wrong, it is still very interesting and a cool part of our Earth. What actually interested me the most about all this is how many people actually get this wrong and don't really know about it. The first image that comes up on Google when you type in fulgurites is actually a fake image. So these are some fake ones, and they really are kind of the opposite of what a fulgurite is. They're like coming out of the sand, and they're just completely incorrect. And my real hope is that people don't see all these fake images and get confused. In addition to this, I hope that scientists explore further into these and find out if they hold any more usefulness in figuring out about past climates or anything like that, so we could be able to predict what will happen in the future. So, yeah, thank you so much.